Hi, my name is Leonard Tucker, and today we'll be discussing the importance of physical therapy in space as well as here on Earth. In this short video presentation, I plan to talk a bit about the mysterious and paradoxical world of space and how it affects the human body, what exercises astronauts partake in to combat and prevent the effects of muscle atrophy and bone loss, and how physical therapists play one of the most important roles in astronauts' lives when they return to Earth. As we strive to reach beyond the limits of what this world has to offer, in efforts to discover new worlds, resources, and possibilities, we tend to put our bodies, the only body we'll ever know in this lifetime, through an incredible amount of stress, pressure, and tension. Now, this is particularly true for astronauts that spend a considerable amount of time in a setting that is foreign to the homeostasis levels our bodies have evolved to being accustomed to. Now, what makes this atmosphere so detrimental to our physiological makeup is its absence of gravity, which in essence directly affects the musculoskeletal system, thus birthing the undeniable and vital need for physical therapy in space as well as here on Earth. Now, the laws that depend on gravity to govern certain systems of the body here on Earth no longer reign absolute in conditions of zero-G pressure. One of the ways that the body is affected is by the absence of plasma through the unorthodox distribution of fluids throughout the body. And now, before I continue, I would like to give you a visual of exactly how the fluids in the body are distributed. And I would also like to emphasize that how the body relies on gravity to pull fluids down in the circulation process. And without gravity, the fluids tend to effuse in the upper portion of the transverse plane, leaving the bottom half to diminish. Now, with the fluids in the vestibular system of the ear floating around, and no sense of right side up, the feeling of being suspended in a Trendelenburg position causes fluids to rush to the cranial region, to settle in the cranial region. This sends signals to the brain that the body is too full of fluid, and as a result, the body halts or slows down the hematopoiesis process, which is the creation of blood. Now, with less blood means less oxygen to be carried to the many organs and muscles throughout the body. And when you combine deprived muscle tissue with inactivity due to a lack of resistance in space, this causes the muscle to weaken and deteriorate in a process called atrophy. Now, this deterioration is so rapid that astronauts can experience muscle mass loss at up to 22% every 7 to 11 days. And muscle tissue isn't the only area that's affected by these conditions. With no real pertinent need to walk in space, astronauts can experience muscle or bone loss due to the lack of compact pressure needed to solidify the bone matter in our bodies. Now, consequently, with the reality of these effects happening to the body, it makes exercise one of the top priorities in astronauts' lives. It's been documented that astronauts have to exercise at least 2.5 hours a day, six days a week, in order to regenerate the shortage of blood, and in order to combat and prevent the effects of muscle atrophy and bone loss. Now, there's 3 major pieces of exercise equipment to assist astronauts in the fitness and physical conditioning while aboard the space stations. The first of which being the most effective in maintaining the muscle mass and strength, and that is called the ARED, the Advanced Resistance Exercise Device. Now, this device is lightweight and portable, and it uses a vacuum suction that duplicates Earth's gravity at a level equal to about that can range up to about 400 pounds. This one machine alone can allow the user to experience the same workout as a bench press, deadlift, tricep curls, bicep curls, heel raises, squatting, and shoulder presses. The second machine is more like a mechanical bicycle. It's a ergometer, a cycle. This machine is similar to, like I said, a bike, and you bolt it to the floor, and you can fasten your feet into the pedals and change the resistance to get a sufficient workout. The last and equally as important is a freestanding treadmill. It's called the TVIS, the Treadmill Vibration Isolation System. You can hook yourself up to it with bungees and emulate the same earth-type gravity to get that compact pressure that you need to strengthen your bones. Now that I've talked about the 3 exercise equipments, I want to show you this short video of the 3 pieces of equipment in action.
So the equipment that we've got on Space Station now, we've got an advanced resistive exercise device, which is a lot like lifting in free weights, but it's
What do you do? What sound?
Switch the order.
Got it.
So the equipment that we've got on Space Station now, we've got an advanced resistive exercise device, which is a lot like lifting free weights, but in zero gravity. It uses a principle of vacuum cylinders and flywheels to provide that resistive load. We've got a cycle ergometer with vibration isolation system, and that's a lot like a stationary bike for an aerobic workout. And then there's the second generation treadmill, or T2, which is basically a commercial treadmill that's been fitted to a space station rack, again with a vibration isolation system. And as opposed to a treadmill at the gym where you just jump on and go, the crew members don a harness and they tether themselves down to the treadmill with a set of bungees or a subject load system. And that allows them to generate the forces under their feet to get that impact loading that's so important for bone health, and allows them to get a good workout. So.
All right, now, even if astronauts fulfill their obligations of staying in good health and fitness while executing their galactic missions, returning to Earth still has its challenges. That's why highly skilled physical therapists are essentially part of the welcoming party when astronauts return back to Earth, and it takes about 3 months for the astronaut to regain their coordination and return to normal strength. So now that I've went over how space affects the body, what exercise equipment they use, and how physical therapists are involved with the astronaut upon coming home, are there any questions? What do you got?
How fast does bone loss occur in the astronauts?
Okay. Studies show that about 1% every 30 to 40 days, so about 1% every month, and it could max out at about 40% bone loss. Any other questions? What do you got?
Do physical therapists go up with the astronauts?
Unfortunately, due to liabilities, physical therapists do not have the training that astronauts have, so they don't go up to, they do not accompany the astronauts on missions, but the physical therapist equips the astronaut with all the intel and information that they need to maintain a good health fitness until they return to Earth. Any more questions? Okay. All right, well, I got most of my information from nasa.gov and youtube.com/Vsauce, and that concludes my presentation.